organ in the human body. Clinically, we have about, I will start because they told me that I have only 10 minutes, sorry. We have only about 5% of the women and 1% of men. Clinically, they may have palpable nodule. When we start ultrasound, they're reaching up to 50%. Even when one of the study, one of the study even reaching to nearly 70%, and it's more common in women, more common with the age. And this also supported by autopsy, in which up to 50% of the pupils may have nodule, thyroid nodule. In 1/3 of them, it's more than 2 centimeters without causing any problem for them. Even in one of the study done in USA, 10% of the population, after autopsy, they may have PTMC. The importance of the ultrasound, it is safe, cheap, and available, reliable, and there is no any radiation exposure. The sensitivity and the specificity of the ultrasound in detecting of the thyroid nodule and also giving them the characteristic of benign and malignancy is may reaching 95%. When this is combined with FNA, even it is more, may reaching 97 and even more. With the experience of the doctor is more important. The role of the ultrasound is in detecting on characterization of the thyroid nodule, benignity or malignant, in detecting of the metastasized nodules, especially in the neck, sometimes guiding FNA or biopsy through cut, also follow-up of the cases post-operatively. Have a problem? Okay. Okay. In general speaking, the feature of malignancy is including irregularity of the shape, hypoechogenicity, inhomogeneity of the texture, calcification, and also the size. When we compare the width and the tall, or simply to say taller than width. Most important point in difficulty of the diagnosis of thyroid carcinoma for us is the size of the tumor when it is less than 3 millimeter, because sometimes when it is less than 3 millimeter, may be difficult to even separate it as solid or purely solid or cystic. When there is multiple nodule to us, it's another challenging, because sometimes we miss one of the nodule, which is the important one or the malignant one, and sometimes even the cystic nodule may show hemorrhage, and this is changing the texture of the nodule. The best available system in ultrasound to be applied for separation of the thyroid nodule is Qaradaxy system, in which has been developed in 2009, and we are applying it from 2017 in our city. The specificity and sensitivity of this system may reach in 94 to about 80% respectively. And according to this system, we dividing the nodule into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In Qaradaxy 1, when it is simple says no any, even in some reference say that there is no any chance of follow-up. You don't need follow-up because it is benign. In category 2, it is risk may reach in 3%, and 3 may reach in up to 10%. We have a problem in Qaradaxy through the difference in the research. Some of them say about 25%. New research mentioning up to 50% of them is malignant. In Qaradaxy 5, 90 to even some studies say it is more than 90% of them is malignant. Practically for radiologists, usually we use a linear probe because of the frequency of around 12. Even there is now other probe which may reach in 60 or 20. Curvilinear probe, usually we use it when the size of the nodule is too large to be measured, or when we need to see the retrosternal extensions of the nodule. The ultrasound feature of the nodule simply started from the outside by the margin. Most of the nodule benign are smooth regular outline, while when it is ill-defined, irregular, or lobulated surface is more feature of the malignancy. For example, these are group of our cases. The first one, we see that solid, well-defined regular surface nodule. We do FNA, but it was also Bethesda 2. The second one, which is the group which we have the most difficulty in the diagnosis, even with FNA, we see that there is a TRAT4 nodule, solid isoechoic with macrocalcification, regular outline. When we do FNA in this group of the patient, usually they will show Bethesda 4. So this is a chance of follicular neoplasm. We cannot separate them, it is malignant or not. Most of the cases, they undergo lobectomy. Thankfully, this was follicular adenoma. The third one, we have a lobulated small or microlobulated surface nodule, and the third one is irregular outline. Both of them was PTC. Another important, or the second characteristic of the nodule is the composition. It is solid, cystic, mixed, and the division of this is either it is cystic or mixed, predominantly cystic, or there is a solid, mainly solid, and each of them has a point. And this, for example, this is one of our case in which there is a small nodule, this part of the nodule, and if you see it in the also elastogram, also showing BGR in the elastogram, this was a benign nodule. This one also another simple cyst. In nearly all the reference say that there is no even indication for the follow-up. This is the major problem of us. These two groups, when there are complex nodule, hypervascular. Also, hypervascularity is usually going with the benignity of the nodule. This is an hemorrhage within a nodule. Sometimes to us it is difficult because we cannot separate this. This we do for this patient, ethanol ablation, and it was a simple cyst. And one of our challenges as a radiologist is this group of nodules, which are occurred in a case of PTC. Usually you see a case of large cyst, small nodule, seen within it, microcalcification. And macrocalcification, we do FNA for these cases, and it was a PTC. Echogenicity is also another dependent feature of thyroid nodule. Most of our cases, we divide them into 4 groups. First one is hyperechoic nodule, isoechoic nodule, or it is hypo or markedly hypo. The chance of hyperechoic nodule to be malignant is about 4%. And this is increased to 26. And some studies say the specificity of and sensitivity, especially they do it in case of papillary thyroid carcinoma, hypoechoic nodule may reach into up to 50 to 60%. The presence of the halo within the thyroid nodule, it's a hypoechoic rounded halo around the nodule. This is more feature of benignity of the nodule. Also, it is not so sensitive, but most of the cases are benign. This isoechoic, hypoechoic, markedly hypoechoic, one was PTC cases. Another important feature is when the nodule is taller than the width, and this should be measured in the axial section. If we see the diameter of the growth of the nodule with the specificity, sensitivity and specificity of this reaching 30 to 32%. One of the most dependent feature is the microcalcification, in which some of the studies showing that the accuracy may reach in 76 or specificity may reach in 93% when it is present in the nodule. The texture of the calcification may be variable for microcalcification, round or rim of calcification. These two was benign. This one was follicular adenoma. This one, I don't know, it's clear, this microcalcification and was a case of PTC. This is another case which I mentioned previously. This is another case in which there is a large cystic nodule with neural nodule, microcalcification, intra-nodular vascularity. It was also a case of PTC. This one, I think it was strange cases in which there is a long history of chronic thyroiditis. There is no definite nodule in the ultrasound, just diffuse microcalcification throughout the left lobe. We do FNA. Unfortunately, it was also a case of PTC. One of the problem of ultrasound is that sometimes we cannot separate comital from microcalcification. This is occur because of the what is called revibration, and it's an artifact, not a true microcalcification. It's just shading like this, and it's a feature of benignity. This is another case of comital. Another structure could be sometimes missed in case of children with microcalcification. This was a case about 5 years old. Child presented with a small single nodule within the right lobe of the thyroid gland. If you see this hypoechoic, there is some echogenic shadow within it. Mostly could be missed as a case of TRAD5. But if you see the lower part of this picture and this one, this is the thymic tissue, which is normal thymic tissue, and they are the same structure. And this is intrathyroidal thymic tissue, which is not common, but we see it in children. And we follow up this case for 1 year, and thankfully there was nothing. Another important feature of the malignant nodule, also this is not mentioned in TRAD system, and there is no point on it on TRAD system, is the vascularity of the nodule, which can be separated to, it is either hypoechoic or we cannot see any vascularity, or it is perinodular or sometimes intranodular with a confusing form. This was a benign nodule. It was a large nodule, so it has been operated, and it was a simple adenoma. We see there is mainly perinodular vascularity. In compared to this one, if you see there is a irregular vascularity central with higher resistivity flow pattern, and this was also a case of PTC. This one also a case of PTC, in which we have a higher resistivity flow pattern. All the four was a case of also PTC with higher resistivity flow pattern. This also was a case of PTC. Unfortunately, this was a case of MTC, which hypoechoic nodule with irregular internal vascularity. Also, frankly, if you see it, there is a good flow, but the resistivity index reaching 0.6.9, which is the borderline is 5. This is the shape of how to deal with any nodule. Also, personally, I don't agree with the size of the nodule to be the guideline for you for FNA, especially in a case of TRAD 4 and 5. Whenever you have a ability or you can reach in the nodule, we do FNA. This is one of the most dependent picture or feature of carcinoma is the presence of the lymph node. For example, these are a group of small, even this lymph node was reaching 6 millimeter. It was positive, the other one. Unfortunately, that case was of MTC, the other two is of PTC cases. This was a strange case for me. There was a small nodule, about less than 10 millimeters, solid mixed nodule, which is TRA3. When we looked around it, there was a small lymph node in the group 4 with single microcalcification within it. We do FNA for this one, and also this was a metastasized lymph node with PTC. Also, this is a small TRA3, small TRA3 nodule, small TRA3 nodule, and according to every guideline, according to every guideline, you cannot do FNA, but we do FNA and was positive. Another strange case for me, it was this patient has a 10 years history of this large nodule, about 3 centimeters in the right side of the neck, group 2. Previously has been diagnosed as a case of complicated bronchial cleft cyst. If you see in the first image, there is a thin line of microcalcification around it with the vascularity or the vessels enter into it with higher resistivity flow. And there was a small, about 6 millimeter nodule in the thyroid gland, which was TRAD 4. We do FNA for them. This was metastasized lymph node. This was metastasized lymph node and with a history of 10 years. This is family history is a very important feature and should be asked for any patient there is a history of operation or not. This was a family coming to us from Erbil. The first young age male, we do ultrasound for him. He was having a small TRAD 5 nodule, and it was done by, we do an ultrasound and FNA. It was MTC. We examined another 4 members of the family, 3 of them having the same condition, MTC. two of them undergo operation and the third one refusing it. In general, the ultrasound feature is a sum. We cannot depend only on one feature to say this is malignant or not. But we collect all the features, and as a result, it will be the real. Thank you very much for your listening.